how the mighty have fallen. Welcome back, everybody. And recently I did a rant on the recent death battle, Lucy versus Carnage, and I came to a realization that there are a lot of just really shitty death battles. So I figured, fuck it, why not do a top 10 list of just the worst death battles ever? Now, I had to strip it down to top 10 because otherwise it would be a top 50 list and we would be here forever. Now, I'm not going to be going too in depth about why these death battles suck, otherwise, again, we'll be here forever. However, if you are interested, let me know, and I could possibly turn it into a series where I take a lot of these death battles and the ones that didn't make the list, and I'll do a little review slash debunking and go more in depth. However, I digress. So I decided to lay down a few rules and standards for these death battles. Number one, the matchup itself. Number two, the analysis and final result. Number three, the quality of the actual fight itself. And number four, how much they represent and show respect to the universe and the characters that are from these universes. So with that being said, let's begin with the honorable mentions. Lucy versus Carnage. Now, this one is on the honorable mentions for obvious reasons. And I'll try to keep it brief. If you want a more detailed explanation on why this death battle sucks, then check out my rant video on it. But in simple terms, this is a death battle that nobody wants to see and is just a horrifically mismatched fight. There was already a perfect opponent for Lucy in Accelerator from a certain magical index, and even in terms of Carnage, he should be fighting somebody from Dead Man Wonderland or Tokyo Ghoul. He should be nowhere near Lucy. This is a bad matchup. I don't know who asked for this, who wants it, but it's going to suck. End of story. Black Panther versus Batman. Once again, who the fuck asked for this? Nobody wanted to see this. Why did they do this? This is one of the most pointless, random, forced death battles I've ever seen. Now, why would they possibly do this death battle? Oh, wait. Right. I'm sure they weren't trying to capitalize on that at all. Kirby versus Majin Buu. This one is just fucking stupid for so many reasons. One, Kirby being far more superior to Majin Buu, being able to rebound and tank anything Buu can throw at him because, oh right, the little fucker is indestructible. He's faster, more durable, and able to rebound anything Buu can throw at him. This is very mismatched. And the only reason this one isn't on the list is because this is another example of the Dragon Ball Z fans being idiots and suggesting a death battle that they should see coming a mile away. Anybody with half a brain or anybody with the slightest bit of knowledge of Kirby could see this coming a mile away. The Dragon Ball fans brought this one on themselves. Shadow versus Mewtwo. This is one of those death battles that nobody wanted or nobody saw coming. Considering the fact that people were asking for Mewtwo versus Frieza, which was stupid, so I'll give death battle points for not doing that, and Silver versus Mewtwo, Yet again, this one just seemed completely random when he was already in a perfectly fine death battle with Vegeta. Again, why did this happen? I guarantee you nobody asked for this, and I guarantee you people were equally as confused when it actually happened, considering that, once again, anybody with half a brain and the slightest bit of knowledge of Mewtwo and Shadow knows that Shadow has no chance in hell, thus, this is pointless. Wonder Woman versus Thor. Another death battle I just don't understand, and I don't think people have even been clamoring for. You already had Thor fight Raiden, and you had Wonder Woman fight Rouge. You bring them back just to fight each other, and the death battle was completely fucked. And it's not like there was a much better opponent lined up for her. Who could you possibly have used for Wonder Woman that would have been better and that people actually really, really wanted to see? Oh, hi, Lightning. So, yeah, just let's add insult to injury and just have this fight not only be 3D, but actually be what people want and just throw it on 1 minute melee. Death battles, incompetence, and laziness just never ceases to amaze me. Rainbow Dash versus Starscream. This is one I'm sure everybody really wanted to be on the list, but it got beat out by another really retarded pony fuckfest that we'll get into in a little bit. But okay, this death battle is stupid. Everybody knows it. But what's even more stupid and funny is the story behind it. For once, we actually have a reason why this happened. The YouTuber Pro Jared a while back makes a April Fool's like joke thing of haha, what if you had Rainbow Dash fight Starscream? It was a joke, it was never intended to be taken seriously, but Death Battle looked up Rainbow Dash's stats and feats and decided to actually do it. What the fuck? Zoro versus Urza. Yet another death battle that literally feels like it was pulled out of a hat. Seriously, who the fuck wanted to see this? What was the reason for it? Honestly, you can't act like you didn't know what was gonna happen. Obviously, Zoro is gonna fuck up Urza, and you would have to be a freaking fairy tale fanboy or completely brainless to not see that outcome. And I'm sure the reason this death battle happened has nothing to do with the fact that the fairy tale fan base decided to start a flame war with the One Piece fan base, and they're extremely butthurt over the fact that their precious fairy tale is just a ripoff of One Piece. Yeah, I'm sure that's not convenient or a coincidence at all. So that about does it for the honorable mentions. Now that I got the appetizers out of the way, let's get to the good shit, everybody. Princess Peach versus Zelda. Now, this is one of those death battles that on paper is fine. I get where they're coming from, I really do. But the problem here is the fight itself was very mediocre, nothing really to write home about, and this was such a poorly handled death battle. It was beyond botched. For example, they give Princess Peach all the abilities she had in Super Mario Bros. 2, but here's the thing, that whole entire game was a dream. it never happened. Peach never had any such abilities. Problem number two, on Zelda's side, they mention she has a sword. She now carries a rapier around. She has a bow. But here's the thing, she never uses them in the actual fight, even though they say that it's a part of her arsenal. And they mention how she has the power to transform into people, such as Sheik. Once again, she never uses it, so it made no sense. Why did they give Zelda all this stuff and even mention it if she never uses any of it? And then there was other botches like pointing out how Peach had the advantage in combat experience when Peach doesn't have more combat experience than Zelda. And to say otherwise is completely ludicrous because they're making a point in Link versus Cloud that Link, due to the Triforce, has lived for generations and has generations of experience. So why would the same rules not apply to Zelda? Because it's the same exact situation with Link. And even if you want to throw that out of the window, Zelda still has more combat experience because she frequently stands at Link's side to fight a lot of the time, and in the more recent games has actually been in combat way more often than Peach ever has. I can name on one hand the times Peach has ever fought or done any combat whatsoever, which isn't much, and even then she's practically useless in it. So this one was just a mess. The only reason it's as low as it is because this was during Death Battle's first season when it was just two guys. They didn't have a crew. They barely had shit to work with. So I cut them a little bit of slack on this one, but it's still pretty shit. Ryu versus Scorpion. Oh boy, where to begin with this one? This is one I can say for certain nobody wanted to see because nobody was asking for this. This is just another example of the Death Battle crew being retarded and just thinking, duh, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat were the two biggest fighting franchises back in the day, and they had a rivalry just like how Sonic and Mario were rivals. Why not have them fight each other, even though they've already done this? Before this death battle even happened, they already did Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat 3 times. So why do it again? It's just repetitive and boring, and nobody wanted to see this. And just like with some of the other death battles I mentioned before, everybody knew that Ryu had no chance of winning. There was no way he was going to get. There was no way he had a chance against Scorpion. Everybody knew this. Even Street Fighter fans, I'm willing to bet you, knew that, yeah, Ryu's going to get fucked up. There's no way he's going to win. And Death Battle even knew this because recently they did Jin versus Ryu. The thing they should have done from the very beginning. Thanks, Death Battle, for wasting our time, you fucks. Gaara versus Toph. Oh boy, I get to talk about this one. Now, this one probably isn't a surprise to everybody, and I'm sure you're happy to see it on the list. But then again, considering whenever the conversation comes up of worst death battles, people are guaranteed to bring this one up because this one just pissed so many people off. And it was a mess, to say the least. Now, I know plenty of other people have gone into detail as to why this death battle doesn't work. Other YouTubers have tackled it, so there's probably not too much more I can bring to the table, so I'll just give the Cliff Notes version. So, much like Zelda versus Peach, they mention Shikaku, something Gaara can use, tap into, and even transform into, but they don't let him use it for whatever reason, except when they do Naruto versus Ichigo, they let Naruto use Kurama for some reason. Now, I don't know if this is because at the time they thought Shikaku was outside help or whatever, which is a rule against Death Battle. They don't allow outside help. But even if that was the case, once again, Naruto versus Ichigo, they let Naruto use Kurama. But really, that's besides the point. That's the least of this Death Battle's worries. The other problem being Toph being able to move inside the sand coffin, which is a near impossible feat that, as far to my knowledge, only one person ever pulled off, that being Kimimaro. But then again, Kimimaro had such a strong willpower, he was able to move and fight with a physically paralyzed and useless body, and due to his Kekkei Genkai, was able to create a membrane of bone under his skin to protect his organs from being crushed. And since he can control the density and durability of his bones, he was able to withstand something as powerful or as impossible to survive as the sand coffin. And since his bones are stronger than metal, it makes sense that he would be able to withstand that. But with Toph, that's not the case. She has no such ability to even pull something like that off. So, yeah, that was pretty fucked. And then there's other minor issues like Toph being able to keep up with Gaara, even though Gaara's speed is pretty freaking ridiculous and can keep up with people and even outspeed people that can move at hypersonic speeds, something Toph has never even seen or dealt with before. Now, sure, there are people like Azula who can shoot lightning, but here's the problem. Toph never faced Azula. She never had to deal with lightning bending before. So, yeah, this death battle was pretty fucked. I could go into more detail, but really, everybody already knows why this death battle sucks. So, let's move on. Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie. No, this is not a joke. This is not one of cartoons Fight Club's retarded fights. This actually happened. And all I can say in response to this is, what the fuck are you doing, Death Battle? This is yet another one that nobody wanted. We got Deadpool versus Deathstroke. That is the fight everybody wanted. They did it. It was awesome. It was one of the best death battles they ever did. And they decided to bring Deadpool back just to fight Pinkie Pie. And you know what the sad part is? Literally, nobody asked for this. Nobody, not even the bronies asked for this. But you know what? The only reason this death battle happened is they admitted on their podcast that the only reason that this death battle even happened was because Chad James, the guy who plays Boomstick, has a daughter who likes My Little Pony. That is it. That is the only reason that this happened. And even if you want to say, well, it's just a joke death battle, like a Rebecca Black versus Justin Bieber, don't take it seriously. In terms of a joke death battle, this sucked. Number one, this was not even a death battle. Nobody died, damn it. Even Rebecca Black versus Justin Bieber, yeah, it ended in a draw, but they still died. That goes against the number one rule of Death Battle that the crew has constantly highlighted again and again. You must kill your opponent. They've even stated this in their podcast and in their rules in their older Death Battles in the credits that you have to kill your opponent, and if the character is some pacifist character or a character that doesn't like killing people, they will still make them kill their opponent. That's the whole point. This death battle was so stupid. It was unfunny. It was insulting. Nobody wanted this. And Death Battle should be ashamed that they even wasted our time with this bullshit. I know everybody wanted Rainbow Dash versus Starscream, and don't get me wrong, that fight sucked. It does deserve to be on this list, but this one just takes the cake. It is so freaking insulting. And just never, for the love of God, ever do this again, Death Battle. Guts versus Nightmare. As I mentioned in my Lucy versus Carnage video, this is a perfect example of taking a character as epic as Guts and bringing him onto Death Battle. This is awesome. Everybody wanted to see Guts. And who do they have him fight? Nightmare. Why? Why does he fight Nightmare? What? Because he has a big sword and Guts has a big sword? By that logic, why didn't he fight Cloud? Why didn't he fight Inuyasha? Or anybody who has a sword of big size? Like, seriously, this is so stupid. This, like Scorpion versus Ryu, everybody knew what was going to happen. Everybody knew Nightmare had no chance in hell. Nightmare, Guts fights people like Nightmare on a daily basis. Guts fights people stronger than Nightmare on a daily basis. He fights gods, demons, spirits, dragons every single fucking day of his life. So you have him fight Nightmare? Even as a hardcore Soul Calibur fan, I thought this was stupid because I know that Nightmare can't do shit to Guts. The reason why I really harp on this whole the reason why I harp on death battles for having shit matchups is because if the characters are not properly matched up and you have a character that you know can't do anything to the other character because he is either too strong or has more power or whatever, this is a perfect example. Anybody knew that Nightmare couldn't do shit to Guts on his best day. He couldn't do shit to him. Even if you only gave Guts his Dragon Slayer and nerfed him like you did with Link versus Cloud, Guts would still win. Guts is on a completely different level. Nightmare is nothing to him. What the hell is Nightmare gonna do to him? Oh right, nothing. Even giving Nightmare his super broken, cheap fuck off form from Soul Calibur 3 isn't gonna do shit, because even if that does make him more powerful or whatever, or make him completely overpower Guts, it becomes irrelevant once he puts on the Berserker armor. And the fact that this fight was so cheap and Nightmare was so horrifically outmatched, when Guts finally does put on the Berserker armor, he just uses it to deliver the final blow after completely wrecking Nightmare's shit. So, and even then, the fight itself sucked. It was so lazy. It was so lazy that instead of getting voice actors, they literally just took voice clips from Soul Calibur 5. This was so lazy, and it's even more insulting because Boomstick is like, oh, I've waited so long for Guts to be on Death Battle. He's one of the most hardcore characters ever. And you give him an opponent that has no chance against him, effectively wasting his time, and you don't even do 3D animation? Nightmare is from a 3D fighting game, you assholes. Why is this not 3D? This was total bullshit. Mismatched, lazy death battle, obvious outcome. When you have a death battle with an obvious outcome, there is no tension, and the entertainment value is fucking pointless. Pointless. Get this through your thick head, death battle. The matchup and the fight is important. You have to think about this stuff instead of just pulling a bunch of death battles out of a hat, throwing them onto an iPad, and not even thinking about if they should even be fighting at all. This was such bullshit. Guts deserves better than this. Top 5. Fuck. Okay, so Charizard versus Greymon. Now, I was originally considering putting Mewtwo versus Shadow on this list, but after some thinking, no, this one deserves to be on the list. Now, sure, the fight is fine, and I can usually be forgiving if the fight is good, but here was one main problem I had is the whole thing where Tai starts beating up Red when Charizard starts gaining the advantage. Okay, so let me get this straight, Death Battle. Outside interference, not okay. So when Gaara gets his ass kicked by Toph and isn't allowed to use Shukaku because that's outside help, or Cloud's not allowed to use any Eidolons because, again, that's outside help, why is Tai beating up Red? This is not Tai versus Red. It's Charizard versus Greymon. Why did you do this? That is... Okay, so you know that Pokemon usually are pretty non-functional without their trainers. Now, there are some that can act on their own, but it's very rare. So you're going to sit there. Okay, so Charizard's kicking Greymon's ass. He's getting his orders from Red. His clever strategies are working out. So Tai just starts beating him up and just going, "Stop beating up my friend," like a little faggot. Why the fuck was that allowed? So I guess it's okay for Death Battle to break their own rules so long as it fits their benefit, right? Yeah, no, Death Battle. Either be consistent or don't be. If you're going to have rules, stick to your own goddamn rules, for Christ's sake. Another reason this one is up is because this death battle signified the downward spiral of death battle that we've been seeing recently. Ever since this death battle happened, we've been getting shit after shit and just so many underwhelming death battles, and this was definitely one of the starting points. And no, I don't care how pretty the fight looks. If you're gonna break your own rules, then why can't you be consistent? Crash versus Spyro. Okay, seriously, what the fuck, Death Battle? I seriously have to wonder if Death Battle has just gone completely insane at this point. This is yet another Death Battle. Who asked for this? This mascot versus mascot shit is boring. You did it with Mario versus Sonic. It was bad, okay? Mario versus Sonic was really bad, and you're gonna do it again? Who the hell cares about two Sony mascots fighting each other? Nobody wanted this. I've looked through countless death battle requests, and nobody ever wanted to see Crash and Spyro fight each other. Why? Because once again, say it with me, everybody, Crash has no chance in hell of winning. He can't do shit to Spyro. Why? Why do you constantly make the same mistakes over and over, Death Battle? Seriously, this is getting so old. I mean, serious. Just Jesus Christ. I'm starting to run out of things to say because they just keep doing the same stupid thing over and over again, even in the fight. Not only do they waste Spyro's time, but they also waste a 3D battle on this, and even in the 3D fight, they couldn't make Crash look good in any way, shape, or form. Throughout the whole fight, Spyro is just owning him because Crash can't do anything to Spyro. Okay, Spyro is a dragon who has magic and can control ether, for Christ's sake. What the fuck is Crash gonna do to him? Oh, right, nothing, and it shows because he just gets completely dominated, and we just get a huge waste of time, and you waste Torian's time with this shit. Natsu versus Ace. Okay, this one is just on a whole nother level of stupidity. This is a perfect example of why you need to think about the matchup before you just do it. This rock, paper, scissors shit needs to stop. Oh, these two characters have ice. These two characters have water. Let's have them fight each other. No, it's boring. Okay, it is boring. And this is what happens. And the reason why this one is so insulting and so high up is because this is the fallout to Zoro versus Urza. Once again, going back to how the Fairy Tail fan base is in a flame war with the One Piece fan base, they're extremely butthurt over their precious Urza losing. So what do? They take Natsu and they set up a victory at Ace's expense. They set up an obvious trap, but for some reason, Death Battle goes along with it anyway. Okay, so let me get this straight. You've got a guy who can literally transform into fire. Yeah, have him fight the guy that literally can eat fire. Brilliant idea. Oh, wait, no, that's actually stupid. And once again, anybody could see a mile away that this is a stupid idea. But again, the Fairy Tail fans, they're so butthurt about what happened to Urza. They want to stick it to the One Piece fans. So, okay, they look through the One Piece roster like, oh, look, here's a guy who has never won a fight before in both the anime and the manga, and he can turn into fire. Well, we'll have him fight Natsu, but except we'll use the excuse of it's fire versus fire, and we will get our win, and we can stick it to the One Piece fan base. And the reason why this is even more insulting is Death Battle should have known this was an obvious trap by butthurt fans, but no, they go along with it anyway. Why? They're lazy. I mean, okay, so in a Q&A or a panel at SGC, I should say, they answer a fan's question of would they ever do Vegeta versus Zod, and they said no for the strict reason of we don't want DBZ fans saying, oh, well, if Vegeta can defeat Zod for whatever reason, then Goku should be able to defeat Superman. And then they're just going to get more complaints and bitching. But except then they turn around and do Natsu versus Ace, a obvious trap by the Fairy Tail fans, and they just go along with it. They let it happen. Why? This is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most mismatched, poorly handled fights I have ever seen. When you have a fight that can be summed up in 5 seconds, it shouldn't happen. This is the equivalent of a WWE squash match. It's stupid. And Death Battle is stupid for letting this happen. Goku versus Superman. Of course. This is one of the most notorious and infamous death battles they have ever done. And this one was just a mess from the very beginning. I guess I can see where they're coming from with the matchup and all, because Goku is literally just the Japanese Superman, let's be honest here. But that's besides the point. This one is high up just because this highlights just how lazy Death Battle can be, or how much they don't necessarily look back at their own work. Because there were certain points in the Death Battle where they make obvious mistakes, like when they were calculating Goku's speed from the two forms, when they were talking about Super Saiyan 2, they forgot to add another times 100 to his speed from the Super Saiyan 2 form, and just said that in Super Saiyan 2 he has the exact same speed as Super Saiyan 1, which is of course incorrect. That was the whole thing of leaving out certain forms, not just for Goku, but for Superman too. There were many forms of Superman they left out. They constantly were thinking of, oh, we'll do this version of Superman, we'll do this version of Goku. Death Battle tried their hardest to remedy the situation in the rematch, but it just didn't work out because it just led to more bitching and more screw ups with the feats and the forms. Because rather than bringing up feats that people either debunk or have a problem with, they could have easily solved the problem by just bringing in Superman Prime or something like that, which is a form that he has. But no, they continue to screw up, they continue to make mistakes. I understand that this is not fully Death Battle's fault, even though they made a ton of mistakes. This is just a decade long thing with two different fans, two different cultures battling it out. And definitely the DBZ fans have definitely been butthurt about this for a long time. But I'm not going to just put this all on just the fans, because Death Battle is responsible for their fuck ups, and they definitely need to learn how to definitely look over their work and make sure they don't screw something up, so they don't make themselves look like idiots. Otherwise, the fans would probably bitch a lot less if the information was accurate, which there was some information they definitely screwed up. And also, give you trying to work with a form that you don't really have the best way of scaling. Maybe you should then wait a little bit before doing your rematch, so that way you can better understand the form, rather than just, okay, they're complaining about not using Super Saiyan God, we'll just give it to him, and then, oh great, Superman gains another form, so now the fans are going to bring that up. This is why it's sometimes best to wait it out, but this is also a problem with never-ending TV shows and Death Battle. Whenever a character gets a new form, they're always going to say, well, now you got to do the fight again because now he has a new form that could possibly change the outcome. And Death Battle should have understood that. They should have at least waited a little bit for DBZ Super to come out so they could better scale the Super Saiyan God form and his new Ultra Instinct form so they could shut the fans up, but they didn't. And yeah, so number two, Goku versus Superman, just a mess. The fight was cool, which is why I was hesitant to put it on the list, but then I realized, due to how much of a mess the both battles were, I had no choice. Naruto versus Ichigo. This is beyond any doubt the worst death battle that they have done so far. However, there's always a chance they could fuck up in the future and make one worse than this. And if they could, I would be impressed because this is the most fucked death battle they ever did. So many mistakes, errors, unnecessary highballing, shit animation, garbage outcome, just no respect for either universe. They didn't show any respect for Naruto or Bleach, especially Bleach, who just gets shit on the whole time for no real reason. Okay, so let's start with the small things. All the unnecessary highballing. Why was this necessary? For example, saying that Naruto was planet level. Okay, first off, that's wrong. And they even admit this in their podcast that they highballed Naruto. He was multi-continental, not planet level. They admitted it was a highball. Now, why they did this, I have no fucking clue. And as for Ichigo, they fully admitted they had no idea how to scale him because, maybe restricting yourself to a 3-week time frame is not a good idea because it makes it difficult for you to try to understand the nuances of both universes when you only have 3 weeks to do your research. And yes, Bleach is a series that can be a little bit difficult to understand if you don't pay attention. And they tried to cover up for the fact that they didn't know or had the time to scale Ichigo by just saying, oh, well, every time he gained a form, he would lose it, even though they would misunderstand the point of why this even happened, because there was always an explanation as to why this would happen. But Death Battle, once again, being lazy and not caring, they didn't care. Like, there were, like, for example, going back to the whole problem of why is it now all of a sudden okay for Naruto to be able to use his tail beast but not Gaara? That seems kind of unfair. Wouldn't Kurama be considered outside help? If not, then why wasn't Shikaku given to Gaara? But that's besides the point. And here's an even bigger question. Why throughout the whole fight is Naruto able to be in contact with Kurama the full time, but not Ichigo and Zangetsu? There's been countless times where Ichigo would communicate with Zangetsu or even get power from Zangetsu because it is the spirit of his Zanpakuto, and Hollow Ichigo is Ichigo's soul. This is why he's able to turn into Hollow Ichigo in the first place. And the fact that they didn't even use Hollow Ichigo is bullshit because they perfectly explain in the show, once again, if Death Battle actually took the time, rather than restricting themselves to a 3-week period, they'd be able to sit down, have enough time to watch both Naruto and Bleach and not miss such details as, for example, Hollow Ichigo states that should Ichigo ever die, he would take over his body, which is exactly what happened when Ulquiorra killed him. He took over. And Hollow Ichigo is an extremely powerful being. So the fact that they didn't use that, the fact that they didn't allow Ichigo to be in contact with his own soul or Zangetsu was bullshit. Every form that Ichigo had there's an explanation for how he was able to achieve that form. Dangai Ichigo is just simply the third stage of the Zanpakuto, because it turns out the Zanpakuto has 4 stages, not 2. Shikai and Bankai are just the first 2 stages. The other two stages is the Dangai form that Ichigo and Aizen both achieved through becoming transcendent beings. And then the 4th stage of the Zanpakuto is becoming one with your Zanpakuto, such as Ichigo, like he states, the final Getsuga Tensho is him becoming Getsuga itself, and Aizen fusing with Kyoka Suigetsu is him becoming Kyoka Suigetsu itself and achieving the maximum form. This is the same reason why Ulquiorra was able to achieve 2 forms, because it is simply just an Arrancar is a hollow with the powers of a Soul Reaper. They are able to achieve Shikai, Bankai, and Dangai just like Ichigo and Aizen were able to, but do they bring this up? No, of course not. And just there's the issue of, again, doing all the highballing when there was no need for that to even happen. And as for the, oh, no, Naruto actually is planet level, let me explain this to all you Naruto fanboys. Naruto, the argument for why Naruto is planet level is because he has this ability where he can absorb chakra from shinobi in the area, and if there's enough shinobi with enough chakra, he can potentially absorb enough chakra to be able to be planet level. Here's the problem. Even with that being said, this is not this is pointless in a one-on-one confrontation of a death battle, because Naruto is not fighting another shinobi. He is fighting a damn Soul Reaper. So that argument does not apply. So by all means, Naruto is multi-continental level, which is about as powerful as Dangai Ichigo, and Dangai Ichigo isn't even his maximum strength. So there was all sorts of scaling fuck-ups. And then there were just simple things like Death Battle saying that Ryatsu is the same as Chakra, but they don't even bother to explain it at all. What the fuck? How are you going to say that, oh, well, Chakra and Ryatsu are the same thing, but then just completely skip over it like it's just common knowledge? No, Death Battle, they're not the same thing. You really fucked this one up, Death Battle. This is the worst. I mean, again, I could go into more detail, but I don't want to keep you here all day, so I'll stop for now. Again, if you are interested, leave in the comment section, leave some likes, share this video. If you're interested in me doing in-depth reviews and debunkings of all these death battles and the ones that didn't make the list, I'd love to do that. And as I promised in my Lucy versus Carnage video, I'm going to be debunking Naruto versus Ichigo, because this is inexcusable, Death Battle. This is rock bottom. Get your fucking shit together, Death Battle.